fuck off, baby. Dude, come on, man. Don't be so fucking.
An intoxicated guy crashed his bike and started acting out of control. He behaved aggressively and created chaos. The bystanders called the cops on him, and what happened next will shock you. Who was this guy? What happened to him?
Close to you.
You're getting closer than I want
man.
you to be.
No. Don't be a bitch, baby. Don't be a bitch.
Officer Warren found a guy sitting on the sidewalk. He looked disturbed and worried. The officer approached him and introduced himself and asked him to kindly stand up. He then proceeded to ask to show the registration of the guy's bike. The guy stood up and said yes. He then changed his answer to the complete opposite and said that he bought this crashed bike yesterday from a private dealer. He even added that he doesn't have any information about the dealer. The officer was kind enough to ask whether the guy was injured, to which he responded yes. The guy went on to say that it was his new bike and all he wanted was to ride home on it. When asked about what happened to his bike, he said that he hit it and later dumped it. Officer Warren asked for his ID and the guy decided to give his debit card, which the officer refused. The guy couldn't stand properly and was all over the place. When asked about where he was coming from, he responded that he was at his friend's place. He dropped all his money and card on the ground and didn't even realize it until Officer Warren pointed it out. Suddenly, the guy started behaving very aggressively toward the officer. He started getting too close to the officer and cursed him. The officer repeatedly asked him to move away, but he didn't move an inch. He kept on getting close to the officer. The officer had to call for assistance from 2 other police officers. They held the guy down and locked him up. The officer explained to him that he was out of his control. The cops took him to the police station immediately. The guy started apologizing profusely. Officer Warren appreciated him realizing his mistake, but there was nothing they could do. The guy was asked to stand up to take his breath sample, but the guy just stood there mocking the officers. He then asked the officers what he should do for them. The officers were kind enough to explain what he should do, and in detail. They described the procedure. The guy agreed to everything the officer said, but acted totally against it. He didn't blow the machine. Instead, he kept his breath for a long time. The officer understood the trick he used and gave him 3 chances with a strict warning. The guy lied that he tried his best and that he doesn't know why it was not working. The officer let the guy know that if he didn't blow into the tube, then his license would be canceled for an entire year. He added that he could get his license suspended for only 6 months if the alcohol rate is more than 0.8. Officer Warren informed the guy that he has the right to remain silent and that if he cannot afford an attorney, the court would provide him with one. The guy said yes to everything. The guy was not cooperating and the officers were doing everything to help him. The officer read out a few more questions, but the guy did nothing apart from cursing them. They informed the guy that he will be taken to the hospital to complete further procedures and he didn't say much. He was involved in an accident as he crashed his bike. The officers had to do their duty and they had to take him to the hospital. Before entering the car, the kind officers asked him to be careful as they didn't want him to bonk his head anywhere. The guy pleaded with the officers to unlock him, but they said only after the completion of procedures. As soon as the officers started driving the guy to the hospital, he started yelling at them and said that they were taking him too far.
Michael, relax, man. I know where the hospital is, okay? I've been there a time or 2.
It was at this time the officer called out the guy's name. Michael was his name. The officer asked Michael to relax as he continuously shouted at them. As they reached the hospital, Michael again asked Officer Warren to unlock him, but he said that only after getting the clearance. He was also informed that he would be taken to jail. The case was taken to court, and Michael had to pay $2,000 as bond. Do you think Michael was at fault? How did Officer Warren handle the situation? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching.